Hi, welcome everyone to Better Inside, a channel dedicated to sharing comprehensive self-development knowledge through great books. Today, I'd like to share with you a piece titled, Don't Live Just to Please Others, from the book The Metamorphosis, found in the classic literature collection of Better Inside. Let's dive in. One morning, Gregor Samsa woke up from a restless sleep and suddenly found himself transformed into a gigantic insect on his bed. If that were you, how would you react when you wake up and discover that you are now in the form of a grotesque, giant insect with a swollen belly and short, stubby legs? It's quite bewildering, isn't it? And you might think, this can never happen to me. It must be from some horror movie. But hold on before you dismiss this as a fictional tale from a horror film. It actually comes from the masterpiece called The Metamorphosis, written by the Austrian author Franz Kafka. It's a powerful and influential short story, one of the most impactful works of the 20th century, and a subject of study and teaching at many Western universities. Back in my middle school days, when I read this book, I only felt that it depicted how cruel and terrifying humans can be. But as I ventured further into society and gained more life experiences, I revisited this book, and that's when I realized that the author had told a peculiar story with an even tone. However, when you peel away the layers of this fictional narrative, the truth behind it is heart-wrenching. The insect hidden in the shadows, as portrayed in the work, is akin to a miniature image of many adults. This transformation into a giant insect is no longer a far-fetched concept, but a reality that many of us have already experienced or are currently going through. One. People only care if you can fly high, not if you're tired or not. Waking up while the sun was still asleep, Gregor quickly brushed his teeth, washed his face, and rushed to catch the 5 o'clock train to make it to work on time. After that, he had to run errands all over the place. Every day, he was nearly exhausted from constant movement and switching between different modes of transportation. Irregular meals, inadequate sleep, and for him, it was just a routine. For 5 consecutive years, Gregor had been living a life like this, with no days off and no room for error in his work. Even when Gregor discovered that he had turned into a giant insect, his first reaction was not panic, not a plea to someone. How can I turn back into a human? But just one thought. I can't be late for work. Why did he think that way? It's because of the mindset. I may be tired, but I can't give up. This mindset has long been deeply ingrained in the thinking of an adult. Like many of us, he rushed in the morning among the crowd to make it to work on time. In the evening, he languidly squeezed through the traffic to get back home. Every day was like a soulless machine, spinning in the whirlwind of work. This is no different from what the writer Milan Kundera once said. Not active, not creative, no freedom of action, only orders and rules. Every time he entered the company, Gregor just wanted to shout in his boss's face, I want to quit. But after fantasizing about this scene hundreds of times, reality stood before him, forcing him to restrain his emotions. He needed to endure to repay his parents' debt. This debt still had 5 to 6 years left, and because his father had been incurring losses in business, he voluntarily became the family's pillar. The whole family depended on him, and he was the pride of his parents and his younger sister. This family pillar couldn't collapse, and he didn't dare to let it collapse. In reality, in life, there are many people like this character. Every morning, when they wake up, there's no turning back, no way out. Just grit your teeth, bury your head, and keep going. If they quit their job, Where will they get the money to buy milk, the money to pay their child's tuition? If they quit, how will they pay their parents' medical bills? If they ask for time off, how will they afford to pay off their car and house loans? These are all responsibilities that weigh heavily on the shoulders of an adult, and no matter how tired you are, no matter what, you can't stop. But Gregor's circumstances today are entirely different. His body is too cumbersome now. He no longer has those swift, cold hands. Instead, he has tiny, constantly wriggling legs. It took him more than 2 hours to figure out how to get out of bed. By now, it was past 8 o'clock, already an hour late for work. Outside, his father's voice echoed, "Someone from the company is here." In a place that values productivity, there's no room for human emotions, and there's no tolerance for mistakes. The company representative came to check if Gregor was genuinely sick at home. However, as soon as he opened the door and saw Gregor transformed into a bug, he panicked, scared, and quickly ran away, leaving behind Gregor's pleas and requests. "I will change my clothes immediately. I'll collect the samples and leave right away. I'm very loyal to my boss. My parents and my sister all rely on me. I need this job to pay off debts, and only through work can I find a way out. Please don't be too hard on me." However, at this moment, his speech was just the sound of an insect, and no one understood it. Seeing the company representative with his 2 legs and 4 shins running away in a matter of seconds, Gregor felt extremely desperate, the same desperation as the employees of the 21st century today. Only because of health, he was fired from the company. I have witnessed an employee at a company who had worked there for 5 years, accumulating over 3,000 hours of overtime. This employee had dedicated everything to the company, but when they heard the diagnosis of a severe illness, the company found clever ways to force this employee to quit. There's a saying, people only care if you can fly high, not if you're tired or not. Just like no one sympathized with Gregor's condition. The reasons why he had turned into a bug, and no one came to help him. The truth is, people care about their own interests first. When stepping into society, everyone is full of dreams and expectations. With hard work, I'll quickly get a promotion and earn more money. But after a few years of struggling with life, you ultimately have to admit that in reality, most of us are quite ordinary. The majority of jobs are just for survival. Even if you work your hardest, you can achieve great results in a short time and earn a high salary. But once you get older, your body and health start to decline, and you'll soon be thrown out by this relentless wheel with no way to turn back. The company can continue to operate without you, but for yourself, if you lose your identity, if you lose your health, you'll never be able to regain it. It's still a statement I've shared before. All the jobs in the world aimed at making a living are not worth the effort and exhaustion. So the first thing you have to do is love your health and love yourself. Two, don't live to satisfy the expectations of others. Gregor's transformation into a giant insect not only horrified the company representative, but also terrified all the family members. His father couldn't hide his disgust and stomped his feet, waving a walking stick and a newspaper to drive Gregor out of the room. His mother, in fear, jumped up, continually crying out, "Save me, Lord, save me." His sister, on the other hand, screamed in despair. All Gregor could do was crawl back into his room. He understood everyone's fear when faced with something so profoundly abnormal. However, behind this fear was an even deeper concern than the fact that he had turned into a bug. It was the fact that Gregor had shifted from being a family pillar to becoming a burden to his loved ones. He lost his job and had no way to support his family anymore. The savings at home could only last for 2 years. When this family pillar fell, the family members had to fend for themselves, find a way to survive. His father took on odd jobs at the bank, his mother sewed underwear for others, and his sister had to give up her dream of music to work as a salesperson. Everyone in the family became busier, and now Gregor had truly become a bug in every sense. Life indeed has its share of ungrateful children, but it also has parents who don't have genuine love for their offspring. Those who are accustomed to holding umbrellas for their families and loved ones may forget that sometimes the rain pours heavily and wets their own heads. I once watched a Singaporean advertisement called Father's Promise. The main character was a white-collar worker. He left early and returned late every day. He received phone calls from his family at any time. The money he sent to his parents for their living expenses was never lacking. However, his father always counted it and was unsatisfied with receiving less than the previous month. When his mother suddenly fell ill, he hurried to the hospital, running around begging for help but couldn't arrange a proper room for her. His wife wanted to go on a trip, and he flipped through a travel brochure in silence for a long time and finally said, "It's too expensive. We should go somewhere closer, okay?" The fridge at home needed repair. His mother's mobile phone needed replacement. His wife's due date was approaching, and they needed to prepare for the birth of a new family member. He worked diligently, but what he received was dissatisfaction from his father, silence from his mother, and disappointment from his wife. Finally, he had to make a painful confession. "I'm sorry, I can't give you the best. I haven't become the person you expected." From the moment we are born until now, it seems like we've carried the expectations of too many people. Parents always hope we'll study hard, get high grades in exams, find high-paying jobs, become successful, and find a good spouse. Our bosses at work always expect us to work diligently, be efficient, and dedicate ourselves to the company. Our significant others always expect us to be understanding, empathetic, and be there when they need us. Others' expectations are like heavy chains that bind us. And if we live solely to fulfill those expectations, we'll soon lose our way and lose our true selves. In the novel Everything I Never Told You, it is said, "The purpose of our lives is to escape the expectations of others and find our true selves." Honestly, it's challenging to completely escape from the expectations of others, but we can't always live within those expectations. We need to confront them. Expectations are like beautiful blessings bestowed upon us by others, but they should not be seen as life's goals. The only thing we should do is diligently work to realize our true desires. You can ask yourself, do you care about what others think of you? Do you expect others to have certain expectations of you just to satisfy your own pride, to find your sense of existence in them? If the answer is yes, then please ask yourself one more question. Why let others define your value through those expectations? Each person has only one life. If you strive throughout your life just to earn admiration and respect from others, you'll lose a lot of the meaning that should belong to you. There's a saying, controlling others is a sin, and being controlled is a misfortune. Don't expect from others, and don't live in the expectations of anyone. Don't lose your true direction to serve your self-affirmation with someone else. The direction of the heart is to be courageous enough to be hated, to live for yourself, and to love yourself. This is where we should aim for. Three, don't overestimate your position in any relationship. When Gregor transformed from the family's breadwinner into a bug in their eyes, he became like a time bomb in the house. The dynamics of the relationship between him and the family members started to change. Initially, for a month, the family persisted in taking care of him. However, as they saw no improvement, they grew increasingly indifferent. Gradually, he was only given leftovers, scraps of food, and their attitude towards him worsened. Even though no one knew or understood Gregor's pain, he never blamed his family. He still longed to return to the sky and be a pillar for his loved ones. But when he tried to protect his family once more, he lost everything. One day, the lodgers asked his sister to play the violin for them. However, they listened while smoking and showed no empathy, appearing impatient to stop. Out of compassion for his sister, Gregor made a strenuous effort to tug on her dress. He wanted to tell her to go into her room and play the violin by herself. Unfortunately, he revealed himself in front of the lodgers. The tenants expressed disgust and requested to terminate the rental agreement. At this point, the patience of all the family members reached its limit. His once loving sister, overwhelmed by anger and embarrassment, locked him in his room and closed the door. Before the door closed, Gregor saw his family for the last time. His sister was hugging his father, and his mother was asleep. The three of them were serene and warm, as if he had never existed in that family. This scene almost extinguished his last hopes of survival. As a famous writer once said, "Only when you are at the lowest common denominator can you have the best chance to see the truth of human affairs." Gregor had treated his family with utmost sincerity, believing that self-sacrifice for loved ones required no repayment. However, he forgot one thing. Human nature is inherently selfish. No matter how deep a relationship is, it has the potential to change overnight. When the housekeeper came to clean the room, she found a dead bug on the floor. Gregor had died alone. The sad end of this unfortunate man shows us not to overestimate any relationship, especially those established and sustained by money or relationships built on endless giving from one side. There's a psychological effect called the overjustification effect. It's usually said that a reward that's just right can provide motivation for a person, but if the reward is too much, it can lead to a loss of interest. This effect can also be applied to emotions. Giving appropriately is essential nutrition to maintain a relationship. However, if you try too hard to treat someone well, a day may come when your giving becomes unnecessary. The author of Gone with the Wind also said, "Love yourself. Don't give all your love, soul, and energy away as a gift and waste it where it's not appreciated and by those who look down on you." In this society, each of us is the main character of our life story. So please don't try to become the hero in someone else's play. 4. Unhappiness comes from losing oneself. Gregor's unhappiness began when he transformed into a beetle and became even more unfortunate when his life changed. Yet nobody accepted him, even though he had sacrificed himself entirely. Why would such a devoted person be unhappy? It's because of the ruthless company, or perhaps the coldness of family. The truth is, the primary reason is that he had long abandoned himself. Outwardly, Gregor had no other choice but to toil to pay off the debt. However, when he was young, full of vitality and potential, he lost the courage to find a suitable and more efficient job to repay the debt. He also forgot how to find joy in the interstices of this working to repay debt life. As the author of the work once said, "The fear of losing one's job will destroy a person's character. Such is life." This kind of life may seem stable, but amidst the busy and demanding work, Gregor had lost what he feared most: freedom. He had turned his life into a prison. As for the family, they had difficulties, but they were far from destitute. Everyone still had the capability to earn money, even if they were in debt. However, Gregor placed himself in the highest position, becoming the pillar for everyone, repaying the family's debt, buying a beautiful house for his parents, realizing his sister's musical dreams, and so on. All of these went beyond the obligations within a family, creating a sense of entitlement in his family members, allowing them to expect, rely on, and exploit him without a second thought. When you make someone else's needs the central focus of your life, your worth will always be based on the demands and evaluations of others. And the most dangerous thing is that losing yourself will make you forget that you must daily reflect, reevaluate yourself, and eventually, one day, you will abandon the struggle against distortion and become a slave in someone else's life. For Gregor, the acceptance of his family was the only reason that would have allowed him to overcome his transformed self and continue living this life. But on the night when his family abandoned him, Gregor, a person who lived for others, also lost the meaning of his existence. This story is satirical in the sense that, in the end, the family finally breathed a sigh of relief after Gregor's death. Even more frightening is the fact that the story doesn't have a sad ending. Losing their son, Gregor's parents continued to place their hopes in the future on their daughter. Looking at the younger sister now, youthful and strong, you might suddenly have the thought that one day she will become a giant butterfly and have her wings broken if she's just like her older brother, always living under the expectations of others and striving only to satisfy her parents' hopes. In reality, even though we may not turn into insects like Gregor, many of us are not that different from him. We live to satisfy others, which could be a punishment for Gregor, but it's also a warning to all of us. Keep away from those who consider what you do as a given. The meaning of our existence is not to become what others need. The contributions we make should not be seen as mere obligations. The most important thing is for your values to create your life, and success belongs to you. Knowing how to think of others is essential, but living for yourself is equally crucial. This is the strongest armor for you in life. And remember, throughout your life, we are not the appendix of our parents, not the servants of our children, nor the shadows of someone else. The most important thing in life for everyone is to face their true selves. When you start living truly with yourself, your life will become more confident and liberated. Finally, I'd like to conclude today's sharing with a quote from the famous writer Duong Qiang. We used to eagerly await recognition from the outside world, but later we realized that this world belongs to ourselves, with no connection to others. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Support Better Inside with a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to watch our latest videos. Once again, thank you, and see you in the next video.